The Complutensian Polyglot Bible from 1520. The Complutensian Polyglot Bible was the first printed polyglot of the entire Bible, produced and sanctioned by the Catholic Church. In contrast, the earlier printed Greek and Latin Bibles produced by Erasmus contained only the New Testament. The Complutensian Polyglot Bible was produced and supervised by Cardinal Ximenes de Cisneros, who lived from 1436 to 1517. Cardinal Ximenes was a highly respected and important cardinal of his day. His role in office had allowed him to amass great personal wealth, which he put to good use by planning and financing the production of the Complutensian Polyglot Bible. His goal was to revive the languishing study of the sacred scriptures, a good indication of the poor state of interest in and knowledge of the Holy Scriptures in his day. To achieve his lofty goal, Cardinal Ximenes undertook to provide scholars with accurate printed texts of the Old Testament in Hebrew, Greek and Latin, and the New Testament in Greek and Latin. The Complutensian Polyglot Bible also contains the Aramaic Targum of the Pentateuch, Targum Onkelos, and an interlinear Latin translation of the Greek Old Testament. Cardinal Ximenes spared no expense in producing the Complutensian Polyglot Bible. He acquired many important manuscripts specifically for the purpose, aiming to secure the best manuscripts he could to provide a solid foundation for his polyglot. He obtained manuscripts from the Vatican itself, thanking Pope Leo X for providing them. Traces of such manuscripts are indeed discernible, particularly in the Greek text, and there is still a copy at Madrid of a Venetian manuscript which he is believed to have used. Cardinal Ximenes invited the top religious scholars of his day to assist in the project. Only Catholic scholars were used in the production of the Complutensian Polyglot Bible. No Jews were acceptable, even for the production of the Hebrew text and the Aramaic Targums. The chosen scholars met in Spain, in the city of Alcalá in Ximeny, in Latin Complutum, at Complutense University, hence the name Complutensian Polyglot Bible. Work on the ambitious project began in 1502. The New Testament was completed and printed in 1514, with work on the Old Testament continuing until it was completed in 1517. Overall production of the Complutensian Polyglot Bible was delayed while work on the Old Testament continued, to allow both the Old and New Testaments to be published together as a complete work in 1520. While the Complutensian Polyglot Bible was in preparation, Erasmus in Rotterdam heard about its imminent production. In a race to be the first to publish a Greek New Testament, Erasmus managed to obtain an exclusive 4-year publishing privilege from Emperor Maximilian and Pope Leo X in 1516, allowing him to be the first to formally publish a printed edition of the Greek New Testament, which he did in 1516. Erasmus's 1516 Greek New Testament was, however, somewhat hastily edited. Corrections were made in later editions of his Greek New Testament, culminating in his 1527 edition, which forms the basis of the Textus Receptus, in which a strong influence of the Complutensian Polyglot Bible is generally recognized. However, Erasmus's exclusive publishing privilege meant that the formal publication of the Complutensian Polyglot Bible could not happen until the privilege expired in 1520, after which Pope Leo X allowed it to be published. Tragically, Cardinal Ximenes died in July 1517, 5 months after the completion of the Complutensian Polyglot Bible, and he never saw its eventual publication. The Complutensian Polyglot Bible was published in 600 large 6-volume sets, of which only 123 are known to have survived. It is not believed to have been distributed widely before 1522. The first 4 volumes contain the Old Testament. Each page consists of 3 parallel columns of text, with Jerome's Latin Vulgate in the middle, the Hebrew on the outside, and the Greek Septuagint on the inside. The preface to the Complutensian Polyglot Bible explains that this arrangement was deliberate, to represent Jesus, the Roman Catholic Church, in the middle, with the 2 thieves crucified with Jesus on the left and right, the Hebrew text being a thief representing the Jews, and the Greek text being a thief representing the Greek Orthodox Church. This arrangement, however, graphically illustrates the Catholic Church's clear preference for Jerome's Latin Vulgate. On each page of the Pentateuch, the Aramaic text of Targum Onkelos, with its own Latin translation, is added at the bottom. The fifth volume, the New Testament, contains parallel columns of the Greek text and the Latin Vulgate. For the Greek text, the minuscules 140, 234, and 432 were probably used. The sixth volume contains a Hebrew and Aramaic dictionary, a Hebrew dictionary, and Greek dictionary. Copies of the Complutensian Polyglot Bible found their way into the principal libraries of Europe and had considerable influence on subsequent editions of the Bible. They were one of the sources used for the textual basis of the King James Bible, for example. A full-size, folio, facsimile edition of the Complutensian Polyglot Bible was published in Valencia in 1984 to 1987. Volumes 1 to 5 are reproduced from the copy in the library of the Jesuit Society at Rome, and Volume 6 was reproduced from the copy in the Madrid University Library. The typeface created for the Complutensian Polyglot Bible is particularly noteworthy. It was designed by Arnaldo Guillen de Brocar and was state-of-the-art in Greek typography for its day. It was highly regarded by typographers such as Robert Proctor as the pinnacle of early printing, before Aldus Manutius's manuscript-based typefaces took over for the next 2 centuries. Proctor based his 1903 Otter Greek typeface on the Complutensian Polyglot Bible. The Greek Font Society's GFS Complutensian Greek is similarly based on the Complutensian Polyglot Bible. The Complutensian Polyglot Bible remains a very important historical edition of the biblical text. It was produced using the very best available Greek, Hebrew, and Latin manuscripts of Cardinal Ximenes' day, and no expense was spared in its preparation. More information about the Complutensian Polyglot Bible can be found in the book Cardinal Ximenes, Statesman, Ecclesiastic, Soldier, and Man of Letters, with an account of the Complutensian Polyglot Bible by James Lyle, Grafton & Co., 1917. This book provides a detailed account of the life of Cardinal Ximenes and contains a fascinating chapter about the background and production of the Complutensian Polyglot Bible. It is highly recommended reading if you want to know more about this important early polyglot. Let's now take a closer look at the Complutensian Polyglot Bible. So here is the Complutensian Polyglot Bible. In this graphical image here, this represents the Cardinal Ximenes himself. Also, we can see that things like the preface and introductions are in Latin. If you just scroll through a few pages at a time, you can see that it would be quite a large volume. It's difficult to read now just because of the size of this particular image, but we can see it's a lot of care has been taken to illustrate it, and also the Latin text is very laid out. So there's a prologue, as we can see, explaining all about it. This is in Latin. And if we go to the text itself, we can see more about it. So here, for example, we have the text of the Old Testament, starting in the book of Genesis. And if I just scroll in to make it a little bit larger, and then we can scroll across to have a look at it in more detail. So we can see here, for example, on the outer margin is the Hebrew text, the Reshit bara Elohim et Hashemayim ve'et haaretz. And there's also a few, not exactly variants, but just slight possible spelling differences in different manuscripts between words. In the middle, we have the Latin Vulgate text. This is of Jerome. And just typographically, all these margins line up rather nicely. And that's because in the Hebrew, there's little symbols here which just help to fill the margin out and to pad it. And the same thing with the Latin Vulgate, where there's small circles here just to pad the lines out and make them fit. Here on the inner margin of each page, we can see there's the Septuagint, Enarche epoiesin ho theos, and also there's a Latin translation of the Septuagint, which mostly in general will be much the same as a Latin Vulgate, but also different depending on how the Septuagint translates. If we scroll down to the bottom of the page, we can see that there is several things here that was mentioned in the introduction. First of all, there is the Targum Onkelos. This is for the Pentateuch, the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses. So this is the Aramaic Targum of the Hebrew. And also here we have a translation of the Targum. So you can see Kal is Chaldee, the Aramaic, the Targum, the translation of the Chaldee or the Aramaic. And here we have an interpretation of the Chaldee, which is a translation of the Aramaic Targum. If I just scroll in to see the whole page again, and if we just flip down several pages, so just to summarize, this is the Hebrew text, the Latin, this is the Greek of the Septuagint, as it was known at the time, and also there is the Latin translation of that. Then we have the Aramaic Targum, Targum Onkelos, and we have a Latin translation of Targum Onkelos, with a few sort of marginal differences in spelling, etc. here. If we just go through another page, again we can see the Hebrew on the outside and the Greek on the inside margin, with the Latin in the middle, supposedly to represent the 2 thieves on the cross, with the Latin Vulgate of the Roman Catholic Church in the middle. And as we just scroll down from page to page, you can see it's a lot of time and effort taken to typeset this correctly. It took a long time to typeset and make sure the text was correct. Things weren't easy in those days. There wasn't obviously computerized typesetting and so on. So we can see what it looks like here. If we just go to a different page, if we go to the end of the Torah here, we can see this is the end of Deuteronomy, explicit Deuteronomium. And here now we just have a few collations of various things before we start the next volume here. And here this is still the second part of the Old Testament in Hebrew, it says there in Latin. And again there's a prologue to that second volume. Then we can see that it's Joshua. So it's the same basic format with the Latin Vulgate here, followed by the Hebrew text and the Latin of the translation of the Septuagint. There's no Targum anymore. And so we can just page down a few pages and have a look at that. Now I'll just go to a different page. This is the end of the Old Testament. If we just go back a few pages, we can see that again there's a few collations as we come to the end of that. And we can also see here it's the text of the Maccabees. So if we scroll up, we can see that quite clearly. So if I just scroll down a few pages now, go to the start of the New Testament. And again we can see Novum Testamentum, so it's the New Testament in Greek and Latin, and in Complutense University. Again there's a sort of introduction, a prologue, and if we go to Matthew for example, we can see slightly different typesetting of the Greek, but here is the Latin of the New Testament in Matthew and the Greek, and that's how it continues all the way through. As you can see, we go to Matthew, then we go to Mark, and so on. So there's Matthew, the end of Matthew, and Mark. So the Complutensian Polyglot was a very good quality work in its day. Only the best manuscripts were chosen for that. So that's what it looks like.